Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Physics Tricks by Faisal. And today we are going to start the chapter of kinematics. And my today's lecture is for IGCSE and GCSE students. So in this topic, we are going to discuss distance and then displacement. And later on, we will be able to differentiate between distance and displacement. So let's start this topic. Uh, we start with the topic of distance. Student, distance is the total path length between 2 points. I am going to write its definition first of all. So we can define the distance it is the total path length between 2 points. Between 2 points. For example, if we draw the diagram, if this is point A and this is point B, and a car is traveling from point A to B through different roads, you can say the car is moving in this direction, and then it is moving in this direction, then again on one direction, and then it is reaching at point B. And if the car is traveling through this zigzag path to point B, and the distances are, this is 2 kilometer, this distance is 3 kilometer, further it is 2 kilometer, and finally it is 1 kilometer. So if we calculate the total path length between these 2 points, so we can say it is the distance traveled by that one. So distance is 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So total distance is, it is 2 plus 3, 5 plus 2, 7 plus 1, it is 8 kilometers. So we can say the total distance traveled by this car is 8 kilometers because we calculate the total path length. We cannot miss any of the point. If we add all these distances, all these path lengths, then we will get the total path length, and it is the distance traveled by that body. Student, as you see in this question, that I didn't mention any direction while calculating the distance. It means that we can say distance is a scalar quantity. Distance is a scalar quantity. You have already studied in chapter number 1 that the scalars are the quantities which require no direction for its explanation, whereas the vectors are the quantities which require direction for its explanation. So we calculated the distance without mentioning the direction. That's why distance is a scalar quantity. Second thing, what are the SI unit of distance, or in which further units distance can be determined? So, dear students, distance in System International is measured in meters. You can say in SI, distance is measured in meters. And you know its symbol is M. Whereas in other systems, distance is also measured in kilometers or miles. Or if the distance is very small, then it can be measured in, you can say, millimeters or the centimeters. But in System International, distance is always measured in meters, right? And you know, if we talk about the distance traveled by a car, And in car, there are different meters uh, by which you can take some information about the car, with how much is the speed of the car and how much distance you have traveled. So if we talk about the distance of the car or any vehicle, it is always measured by a meter which is called odometer. I repeat it, it is odometer. So I'm going to write it as well. This is distance traveled by car car or any other vehicle is measured by odometer. All right. Odometer is placed in the meters in the car by which you can check the mileage of the car. So distance traveled by car is always measured by odometer, right? So so far we have discussed the topic of distance, and in this topic we have defined the distance. It is the total path length between 2 points, and it is a scalar quantity, and it is measured in meters in System International, but in other systems, it can also be measured in kilometers, in miles. And if we want to check the mileage of the car or any other vehicle, or we want to check how much distance the car has traveled, we can check it by odometer. So now we move further, and I I can tell you one more thing that is very interesting, that the distance of moving body can never be zero in any case. If any object like a car or a ball or a person, if anything is traveling or moving, its distance can never be zero. Distance of moving object can never be zero. Can never be zero. It can only be zero if the object is at rest, right? This is a very important point, and in our further discussion, and when the topic proceed further, we will relate this point with the displacement, right? The distance of moving body can never be zero. Students, now we move to the topic of displacement. Displacement. Here, students, displacement is the shortest distance between 2 points in a specific direction. You can say it is it is the it is the shortest distance. I move to the upper page. It is the shortest path between 2 points in a specific direction. In a specific direction. If we talk about our previous example, that a car travels 2 kilometers in this direction, then it moves on the other road and it travels further 3 kilometers, and then 2 kilometers, and finally it travels 1 kilometer. So the total path length is 8 kilometers. This is the distance. But if we have a shortest route from point A to B, then it would be the displacement. For example, if a person takes a shortest route, or the car takes a shortest route or straight line path in a specific direction, then it would be the shortest distance and it is called displacement. So we can say it is the shortest path between 2 points in a specific direction. So for displacement, you have to take a specific direction. So it means that displacement is a vector quantity. Displacement is a vector quantity. All right. And one more point, displacement is also represented by D. Also represented by D. All right. And one more thing, dear students, displacement of a moving body can be zero. When we were discussing the point of the distance, that distance of moving object can never be zero. It can only be zero if the object is at rest. But in case of displacement, displacement of moving body can be zero. So let us consider an example for this point. We consider a car travels from point A to B, and the total distance traveled by this car is 20 kilometers. And if this car travels back from point B to A, it travels 20 kilometers. When we calculate the displacement of this car, then the forward displacement is taken as plus 20. But when we add the backward displacement, when the car is traveling from B to A, we will take this minus 20 because displacement is a vector quantity. And when you consider a vector, you have to consider the negative sign as well. जब बॉडी फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्शन में जा रही है तो प्लस डिस्प्लेसमेंट होगा, एंड व्हेन द बॉडी इज कमिंग बैक तो इसकी डायरेक्शन रिवर्स हो गई तो वेक्टर चेंज हो जाएगा, वेक्टर भी रिवर्स होगा और इसकी डायरेक्शन की वजह से इसके साथ माइनस आएगा. So body is traveling, but when you calculate the displacement, 20 minus 20, it would be 0. So we discussed this point here that distance of moving object cannot be 0, but the displacement of moving body can be 0. So I'm going to write this point here that displacement of moving object या moving body can be 0. और ये कब 0 हुआ? When body returns to the starting point. In any case, if the body comes to the starting point, then the displacement will be 0. Displacement of moving body can be 0 when a body returns to its starting point. All right. And if we ask you to calculate the distance of this car, so let us calculate the distance traveled by this car. So distance is a scalar quantity, and when you calculate the scalar quantity, we ignore this negative sign because in scalar negative sign is meaningless. So 20 plus 20, 20 is the forward distance, 20 is the backward distance, but in case of distance, it is a scalar quantity. We do not take it negative. And when we calculate it, this is 40 kilometers. So you can see the body is traveling, its distance is not 0, but the displacement is 0. अब यहाँ कई बच्चे ये क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि अगर बॉडी रेस्ट पे हो तो फिर क्या होगा? तो बेटा, when the body is at rest, then both distance and displacement will be 0. I'm going to write it as well. If the object or if the body is at rest, if a body is at rest, then both distance and displacement will be 0. All right. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पर कुछ स्टूडेंट कंफ्यूज होते हैं और कुछ स्टूडेंट ये समझते हैं कि शायद हर मूविंग बॉडी का इन एनी केस डिस्प्लेसमेंट 0 होता है. देखिए बेटा, ये मैंने आपको हरगिज नहीं बोला. आई सेड दैट इफ अ बॉडी returns to the same point, then displacement is zero. If the body is not returning to the same point, then displacement will not be zero. So we can understand this by solving this question. Suppose suppose a person walks 3 meters from A to B, and then it moves 4 meters from B to C. A to B, it is traveling 3 meters. From B to C, it is traveling 4 meters. So question is that calculate distance and displacement. Calculate distance and displacement. So we have already discussed that distance is the total path length. So first of all, calculate the distance. So this length is 3, this length is 4. We have to take it total. In total, it is 7 meters. So in this person travels 7 meters. Its distance is 7 meters. But when we calculate the displacement, we have to take the shortest path because the definition of displacement is the shortest path in specific direction. So this is the shortest path, right? So this is displacement. The total black line is the distance and the red line is displacement. And now calculate the displacement. So this, how can we calculate this? Dear student, this is a right angle triangle. And in this right angle triangle, if we consider this angle, then 4 meter is perpendicular, 3 meter is base, and this red line is displacement. So this is hypotenuse. So we use Pythagoras theorem, and according to Pythagoras theorem, hypotenuse square is always equal to base square plus perpendicular square. All right. So hypotenuse displacement, we take it d, so d square. The base is 3, this is 3 square. Perpendicular is 4, it is 4 square. So p square is 9, 4 square is 16, and this is d square. And you all know very well that to remove this square, we have to take square root. So when we cancel the square root with square, you get the displacement. It is under root 25. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे कई स्टूडेंट ये कहते हैं कि सर 9 का अंडर रूट अलग ले लें, 16 का अलग ले लें. बेटा, दिस इज द बेसिक मिस्टेक इफ यू डू दिस. In mathematics, you have to first add the values and then you will take the square root. So 9 plus 16 is 25, then you take square root. It is 5. So it is 5 meters. So its distance is, we calculated the distance, it is 7 meters. And look, the displacement is 5 meters. And you know, हमने पहले ही बोला था कि displacement हमेशा displacement से shortest path होता है. So you can see in this example, displacement is shorter than distance. All right. So we can also add this point that displacement is shorter than displacement. But in one case, they both can be equal if the body is traveling to the straight line. Because if you are traveling in a straight line, then it is your distance and it is your displacement. So we can say that distance and displacement, can be equal, they will be equal if the any body, like any object, if the is object is traveling in a straight path. Okay, so this is the This is the description of the displacement, and we also calculated one displacement and the distance in this question. And in above question, we also discussed that displacement of moving body can be zero, but distance of moving body can never be zero. Now I am giving you one question, and you have to solve this question. A person walks 10 meter towards east, 6 meter towards 6 meter towards south, then further 2 meter towards east, and finally you can say 15 meter towards north. Calculate the distance and displacement. So this is your practice question, and you all have to solve this question. Okay. And if you find any difficulty, please let me know. My WhatsApp number is mentioned in my thumbnail. If you are unable to solve this question, then do let me know, and I will send you the solution of this question. And finally, don't forget to subscribe my channel, Physics Tricks by Professor. Thank you so much, students. Allah Hafiz.